Hello everybody, my name is Lil Burrs. I am a speedrunner and moderator for the game Space Marine 2. This video is going to be a guide on how to run Operation Number 7 Termination. Now, Termination is the first operation that was added to the game post-launch, so Saber has done some unique things in this operation, but we will get to those in a little bit. First, let's discuss what class we want to run. If we are playing solo, Assault or Vanguard are going to be the obvious choices, while the name of this operation is just Speed. Getting from point A to point B as quick as possible will be the best way to complete this operation, while in a co-op setting, Assault and Vanguard are still the prime choices for your 1 and 2 slot. Your third slot can vary depending on how you want to play your party, as well as what difficulty you're playing. This is where I recommend Bulwark above everything else for your third slot, as its defensive capabilities, defending hard points, or the person using the laser guided systems at the end for the cannons will make it invaluable, especially on the higher difficulties. But if you do not want to bring a Bulwark and you want to bring something like a tactical for its more offensive capabilities with its all-spec scan and its diverse weapon choice, that is not a bad option as well. One last thing I want to mention about classes for this operation is that if you might be asking yourself or asking me, Globers, can we run tactical though? Can we scan the Hierophant at the end to make the cannons do more damage? Well, unfortunately, no. I think Saber thought of that, and they do not allow the Auspex scan to work on the Hierophant, so you cannot Auspex scan the Hierophant for more damage, unfortunately. Now, let's get into the actual operation itself. Now we're in the actual operation itself. The first part of this operation is rather simple, as we're just going to come out through the Cadian camp here, break the flowers, and take this middle track here through the first section, past the broken tank, around this little turn here, continue straight until we get to those two little side ramps, and then we make it to the first checkpoint where we have to lift the rock. So we're just going to come out, follow this main trail in the middle all the way through until you get to the first checkpoint. So this part is a little farther in from the first section that I showed you. So I want to mention this part right here, that this ledge right here where you have to originally go around through this little cave right here and then back a U-turn around to get over here to the checkpoint. If you do have enemies on this ledge, like we do see here, if you are playing Vanguard, you can actually skip going all the way through this little tunnel and stuff like that. You can just grapnel launcher up here and you can skip all that. So that is one thing we can do with the Vanguard that does make it a little bit faster than the Assault in this section, depending on enemy spawns beforehand. But that is one thing I wanted to mention real quick. So now we've made it past the first checkpoint where we're going to actually now enter the facility. So we're going to come through these rocks right here, run through this tunnel, make a U-turn around, come back up here, and through this tunnel right here, take a couple drop downs right here next to the loadout pod, and then we're actually going to make our way into the facility. This section is pretty straightforward, as we're just going to follow the track all the way into the facility itself. Now we've entered the facility. This is the major RNG section of this operation. So the goal of this section is to open these big metal doors as quick as possible. So upon entering this room, there will be some dialogue that happens, and then a hardpoint will spawn at one of 6 random locations. There are 3 on the left side and 3 on the right side. On the left side, the hardpoints can spawn at this location here next to these set of consoles here. On the other side of this wall, next to those consoles there, and then in the back room next to these set of consoles in the corner here. On the right side, they can spawn 2 are going to spawn on this top level here, one where this enemy is spawned now, and then one right here in this top corner, and then one on the very bottom floor in the back corner down there. Now, the RNG we're looking to get here, upon entering the room, the dialogue is going to start, and we're going to run to the left side into this big room here where all 3 of the hardpoint spawns connect. The reason we do this is because we're trying to guess where the hard point will spawn originally. Doing this cuts out a little bit of time instead of waiting from the middle, and as the left side is more consistent to get easily, as the right side is divided by 2 levels. So we go to the left side and we're going to hope that the hard point spawns over here. If it doesn't, you can still continue the operation if you wish, but you lose a lot of time running from over here all the way to over here to the hardpoint spawn, so this tends to cause for more resets. If you do want the more consistency, you can stay here and wait for it to spawn, but just know that you are losing time if you guess correctly on the left hand side. Now, after we have guessed correctly on the left-hand side of where the original hardpoint will spawn, there is a chance that the infestation will grow on another set of consoles on that side, and it will stop our hardpoint progression, and we have to go clear the infestation of a different console. Now, we are hoping to get this infestation trigger on the original hardpoint we get, as getting to the other consoles on the left side are, again, much easier than getting to the ones on the right side. So, for example, let's say we get the hardpoint to spawn right here, and the infestation comes on these ones over here. What we have to do is just beeline it across real quick, clear it, and then run back, and we can keep the progression going. If we're playing co-op, you can even have one person stay on the hardpoint while two people go clear the infestation real quick. Therefore, you have zero downtime. Now, there is a chance that the trigger just doesn't happen on the first hardpoint, and then a second hardpoint will spawn after the first one is completed, and then that one will guarantee have the infestation stop on that side. So say if we get the first hardpoint to spawn on the left-hand side, the second one will always spawn on the right-hand side and vice versa. So let's say we go to the left side, we clear the first hardpoint with no infestation stop. We go over here and then we get the bottom hardpoint, and then our infestation happens on the top one. That is a little worse RNG just because we have to run up 2 sets of stairs to get to the infestation. Whereas over here, we're just running a short path, clearing and then running back. But once again, you can do the co-op strategy if you're running co-op to have 2 people come clear it while one person sits in, captures the hardpoint once it comes back online. So there are a ton of possible RNG situations that you can get into here. I'm not going to go over every single one just because this video will be extremely long if I do so. So I'm just going to give you the gist overview of the fastest possible RNG we're going to get. So again, upon entering the room, we're going to go in this big room on the left side, hope that the first hardpoint spawn is one of these 3 locations, and then during that hardpoint, the infestation happens where you can clear it from one of these other console sections, and then we complete that, and then we can run to the right side, clear that hardpoint real quick, and then once that second hardpoint is done, we run to this middle console here, flip the switch, and then we are able to progress through the rest of the operation as normal. And now that we have opened the big metal doors, we're going to go through, take this first right at the bottom of the stairs, and then just going to follow the hallway along until we get to the next checkpoint where the ammo box and the big door is. Then once you're past the next checkpoint, we get to this big set of spiral staircases. We're going to take it up. Do not go all the way to the top. It's just a dead end. We're going to stop at the last one from the very top. Take this left. It's the one with all the big blue, like bluish lights coming out of it, so you can't miss it. Take this one, jump down, and then the elevator is just through the hallway here. Remember to skip all the enemies. Don't worry about killing anything. We're just going to get to the elevator as quick as possible. Now that we made it up the elevator, through this small path, we get to the last section of the operation here. This section is unique to this operation as there is no other operation like this. And this is where the playstyle of how you do this section will depend on if you're playing solo or in co-op. If you are playing solo, it basically falls upon you to do everything. You're going to be grabbing the laser guiding system, shooting the Hierophant, and then charging it at the respective charging stations. The goal of this section is to kill the Hierophant, only having to charge the cannons twice. So you're going to grab it, shoot, charge, grab it, shoot, and then charge. And then that third time you grab it, you should be killing the Hierophant. If you don't, you're just improperly using the cannons. The proper way to use the cannons is if you can kind of bait when you're charging them to shoot the Hierophant, make sure they're all like laser pointed at it before you actually pull the final trigger to shoot them all. That way you get the maximum damage, as well as you want to aim for the head or the big body so you can kill it in only 3 attempts. Now in co-op, it's going to be a little different as you're going to have a lot of support around you. The person who should be grabbing this laser guiding system should be the assault class if you are bringing that with you. Reason being is that compared to like the Vanguard, the Bulwark, or the Tactical that you're bringing for your other 2 slots are going to be a lot easier to keep enemies off you while you have the ability to jump around and get around as needed. Now there is some minor RNG here that can make this go a little quicker. One of the things is where the Hierophant is on the battlefield. There is some like rubble and debris and towers that can get in the way of your cannons. And if you get that, it's just kind of unlucky. You can't really control that, as well as the charging stations that you get when you use all the charges per your shots. So the 2 charging stations we're looking to get are this one and then the bottom one here. There's no particular order you need to get them in. As long as you get those 2, you're pretty much set. As I said before, you're trying to kill the Hierophant in 3 or less full charges. So again, grab it, shoot, charge, grab it, shoot, charge, and then grab it, and then that last shot should be the one that kills it. Another thing to keep in consideration at this part, especially if you're playing on solo, but as well as co-op, is where the enemies are spawning from. The reason being, of course, is that you can get hit by the Majora's enemies that can stun you, knock you down, etc. This can be detrimental to getting a quick time, is that if you're charging the cannons to shoot the Hierophant and you get hit before they shoot, you do have to recharge it all over again. So that is just considerable time loss if that happens consistently to you. So keeping an eye out where enemy spawns from and keeping an eye out for the Hierophant is on the battlefield to get your proper shots. And that is it for operation number 7, Termination. Now, Termination as a whole, in my opinion, is actually one of the more enjoyable operations to speedrun, just because while the RNG, especially early on, is kind of rough, just because if you do guess wrong, or if you're guessing left and it always gets right, it can feel discouraging that I'm done 5, 6, 7 runs in a row, which has happened to me, and I've guessed left and it's always been right. I'm just like, why am I doing this to myself? But it is also when you do get that one run where you're like, okay, this is the run, and you get to the end section and you have good cannon RNG and you have good enemy spawn RNG and you have good recharge RNG, and you're just like, okay, this run is good. I feel good about this run. I'm enjoying this run. But I do get the sentiment that some people have where they just don't enjoy this operation, or at least somewhat don't enjoy this operation just because of the end section, which is, I think, justified. But I really enjoy it. I also think this operation has one of the higher optimization possibilities, especially with the end section. If you can get really good at using the cannons and getting full damage out and being able to work around enemy spawns and the toxic goo spawns that the Hierophant shoots out during the fight, it can be a really interesting fight and a really fun operation in general. But I do get the sentiment that some people have that it's just it's rough. Getting the RNG is just not fun to fish for. But I overall I like the operation as a whole. I do think it's fun. But I hope this video was informative for you guys. Good luck on your runs and happy hunting.